Hey everybody, it's Jason with Parallel Reality coming back with you here today with an article from The Spectator dated August 15th. The article's author is Stephen L. Miller, who I have mentioned before to go ahead and follow on Twitter at RedSteeze. It's RedSteeze. It's a good follow on Twitter, so do that. So this article is called Begin Shoring Up Biden's Network Flank. It says networks are staffing up the ranks of former Biden communication officials at a furious pace. So it says members of presidential administrations taking roles with news networks isn't a particularly new phenomenon. Former Bush administration press secretary Dana Perino has fostered a successful career on Fox News, and former Clinton advisor and White House communications director, this is director George Stephanopoulos took a prominent role as the face of ABC News. When it comes to the Biden presidency, however, several lines have been blurred between official presidential messaging coming from the briefing room and networks who are hiring former Biden officials for prominent roles as he gears up for a re-election campaign. Networks are staffing up the ranks of former Biden communication officials at a furious pace. So it says former White House press secretary Jen Psaki was hired by the White House from her perch as a CNN contributor and pushed the bogus 51 intelligence official story on Hunter Biden's laptop. Yeah, that's a problem. So, if someone she basically lied for a living and she was not, I guess she was good at her job in a sense that I don't know. She was able to communicate with people certainly better than the current press secretary, but she lied about everything all the time. And then MSNBC said, "Yeah, let's hire that person." That now has contributed to this now fully debunked story. Says she herself was never made to answer for that story by the White House reporters. Of course not, because they're all on her side. Says in April of 2022, it was announced that Psaki would be taking a role at MSNBC with the very people who were supposed to hold her and the White House accountable. Like, yeah, isn't that the press's job? Is that if there's some BS going on, they're supposed to be like, hey, this is BS. Like, what do you have to say about that? But they just never said anything. Says this is almost unheard of. A sitting White House press secretary announcing a job with the media while still in her role. She faced little pushback from future colleagues. Psaki now sits at MSNBC, where she regularly interviews former White House coworkers and Biden cabinet members, much to the dismissal of other journalists who either see a major conflict of interest, which it is, and simply remain silent, or don't, which is worse. Says last week, CNN announced the hiring of Jamal Simmons, fresh off his role as Vice President Kamala Harris's communications director. Her office has yet to replace Simmons, seemingly aware that CNN is taking on that job for Harris. Only 2 weeks prior to the Simmons hire, CNN announced that former Biden White House communications director Kate Bedingfield had been hired as an on-air commentator and contributor. So it's all like the comms people for everybody are going to these network jobs. Yeah, yeah. There's nothing shady about that at all. So if you're keeping track, MSNBC has a former Biden press secretary who spends her show interviewing Biden administration officials, and now CNN has hired both former lead communications directors of that same president and vice president. This all comes as Biden himself begins to mount a re-election campaign, which will not so secretly rely heavily upon allies in the media to ignore scandals and questions of mental and physical fitness that come with an advanced age, and to keep Donald Trump and his mounting legal troubles front and center and in the living rooms, gyms, and restaurants of the American people. As rarely have we been witness to this kind of blatant corporate media campaign back a sitting president by filling their own ranks with his former staffers, while that president refuses to sit for serious interviews or hold press conferences. And even at the times that he does, he always sits down with people who are totally loyal to him and they ask him softball questions. It's like the questions are basically like, "So how do you feel today, Joe?" It's almost like there's no actual like, hey, like I know some people get out there occasionally like, what about your son? That being Hunter. But it's always like, I never did anything, even though there's, mountains of proof that he was heavily involved in all of Hunter's things. But, whatever. It says Biden is attempting another basement campaign where he can sit back and let NBC, MSNBC, and CNN push his messaging for him. Should they succeed in keeping Donald Trump the main focus of the election, he and they will succeed. Yeah, that's true. If Trump is the focus of the entire thing, then he's gonna lose the election for sure if they keep focusing on him. And Trump, at this point, I mean, he's got a lot of time if he ends up being the nominee, which unless something goes, uh, tits up with his, lawsuits and everything, he will be the nominee. So, but he's got to get some better messaging out there. And it can't just be we're going to relitigate 2020. It should just be like the thing everybody on both sides is worried about, which is inflation. So let's hear about that and kind of go from there. So let me know what you think about this in the comments below. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.